Good day, Tragic here, and welcome to my latest mod for Tabletop Simulator. This is Call of Cthulhu, the LCG, the CCG, the TCG, Mythos. So many names, but one of the best card games of all time. And this particular version is the FFG LCG version. And it is a fantastic game, and this is my most ambitious mod so far. So hopefully it's all going to work when you get it into the wild, assuming people want to use it. So this is just going to go through how to use this. This video might be a little long because there's quite a lot of stuff in this mod. So let's get straight into it. And the first thing we're going to look at is the boards up the top. This is the storyboard section. You have all your tokens here. You can just pull out the tokens as you require them. There are clue tokens, and if you flip them over, they are the wound tokens. Very, very simple. In addition, out of this bag here, you can just pull out extra boards if you need to draw conspiracies and you're playing conspiracies. You can just bring out new areas to place conspiracies down. Quite simple. In addition, what I've done, because this is going to be part of the Call of Cthulhu online league that I'm starting, you will be able to play in Lackey and Octagon, but what I've done for that league is that we're using a story deck that has every single story card, including the CCG story cards that some of you might not have seen. Most of the CCG story cards were reprinted in the FFG version, but many weren't, like say Unquiet Earth. So this deck has all the story cards because there isn't really a competitive scene anymore, so why not just play with them all and have a lot of fun. In addition though, I have placed the other 7 story backs in this little deck here. You've got CCG promos, Shifting Sands, Secret of Arkham's, Corset, Draft Pack, Eldrick, and so on. So if you want to just play with the actual official tournament rules, which is currently Shifting Sand and will forever be Shifting Sand, because, you know, there is no more FFG products, just pull that out and then whack it on the table. So that is how the story decks work, and just remember the other story decks are in there. Now I've created a little funky kind of player board, because one of the things I found with Tabletop Simulator is that it's a little bit clunky using advanced card games like Call of Cthulhu and Netrunner and, you know, Doomtown, all those kind of things. So what I've done is I've scripted the actual player boards. So here's our hand of cards. This is a deck that's we're using. So you can just draw 8, take your mulligan if you need it, and of course you've got your draws, draw 2 and draw 1. Now that's all very well and good, but what we also have here, we have random discard. So if you've got nothing in your scry area, which you'll see in a sec, and you just click on here, discard 3 cards at random from your hand, you blam, and those 3 cards are discarded. Also, you've got this button called Scry. You can scry the top or the bottom of your deck, and you can scry up to 10. I've maxed it out in 10. I don't think there's any way to scry much more than 5. So we're going to set it to 3. Well, you can actually scry 10 with it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is it can go up to 10. So if I look at these cards, we have Reckless Assault, then we have Marshall Green, and then we have Knights of the Outer Void. Okay, so if I put them in order on the top, and then I go scry 3, you can see that those 3 cards are scried into this little scry area for you to do with what you will. You can take them, play them, and now if you do random discard, so if I go random discard 1, it'll random discard from that area, not from your hand zone. In addition, starting on this side of the board, if you place the card like that, this, whatever's on this side of the board is going to be the top of the deck, and this side will be the bottom of the deck. So I can go return top, and now if I, let me just get rid of these. If I draw 2, you can see that it comes out in the order we placed it in. So if I, let's go draw 5 this time. And we'll put the blue one first. We'll put the silver sphere next. We'll put this guy right at the end, and we'll put the event just before him. And then we go return top. And now we go to draw. You'll see that those cards come back in the order that we set them up. Okay, from this side of the board is first. Very, very simple. Now, there is another way to do this. We also can click and it will scry from the bottom of the deck. So let's scry 4 from the bottom. You blam. And now these are actually coming from the base, not from the top. And it has the same thing if you want to return them. So we could return it so it'll be like that. So we go return, bottom, you blam. And the very, very bottom card is going to be the one on this side. In addition, obviously, you've also got return and shuffle. Just turn on shuffle and it will return and shuffle. And that is the player board. That's all the player board is. When I originally made it, I had another one here called Peak that allowed you to do this scrying to your opponent's deck and opponent's hand. But I decided after some experimentation that it's not a good idea to give the other player just control of their opponent's hands. It can get messy if they're not very good sports, which I found out the hard way. So I removed it. But basically, it can still do the scrying, and that's basically the player board. Very, very simple. And one of the reasons why I scripted this player board is because of the conspiracy cards. See, the conspiracy cards, when you sort of pop them up, will orientate so they'll always be visible to the player correctly by just holding down Alt to do the pop-up thing, right? But when you draw naturally using Tabletop Simulator, I'm going to press 5 to use Tabletop Simulator's default draw 5 cards. You blam, they come into your hand sideways, which of course, you know, if I switch to the other player, you know, I can see that. Look at that. I can see that they're all sideways. I know that he's drawn conspiracy cards. That's no good. So that is why I've got that's why the player boards came into existence. Because now you can draw using the script and they'll come in, but they will not be incorrectly aligned in your hand. So let's just draw some cards. And you'll note that it has it has some logging of as you draw. Now over here we have our domains. Now the domains are a little bit more complicated than this, and that's because in Tabletop Simulator, when you place cards kind of too close to each other, they snap and form a deck. Okay, so they kind of snap and form a deck, and it can be a little bit frustrating. So what I've done is I've automated that. You just drop your card into the area here, and it will automatically align and get placed. So whatever you'd like to do, setting up your domains, it's as simple as that. Okay, now these actually get locked down so they can't be removed by the other player. Again, I've had issues with unsportsmanlike people. So the way to get around it is you just have to press the L button to unlock them and then pull. So press L and pull, and you can just pull the card out and it will reformat it back to you know, look nice and neat. So say I want to get the Repo Man, I just go L pull, out it comes, and everything will reform. In addition, there's a little button down here, and it's got readouts that tell you how many cards are in your domains. And then there's a little button here, you just press add domain, and out will come another domain if you happen to have a system that places out a second domain. Also, when you get new domains, up here you have little domain markers. You can just grab them and drop it on the table like so. And of course, just like normal Cthulhu, when you're playing, you just, you know, do that to tap. And that, for the most part, is how to play the game. You've got quite a lot of space to place your cards. You can tap. By the way, if you set your top menu, which most people have on, I just turn it off to make the video look better. If you set this to 90 degrees, you can tap with a single button press of E or Q or E. So, you know, you can do it here. Oh, I've won a story. I'll put down a couple of, you know, symbols. In addition, you can tap multiple things. Just drag select Q will untap them all at once, or you can just highlight them and tap them. And that's pretty much everything you need to know to play Call of Cthulhu in Lackey. But there are some more little funky things that we can talk about. And over here on this side, I've created a draft system for us. So all you have to do is click on Start Draft at the top, and it'll create these kind of boxes on the table. And the reason for that is these boxes are hidden zones, and the reason they're so big is they kind of tint everything, but when you're inside the box you get no tinting. And what this does is you just hit Start Draft, and out will come the draft pack, and any cards that are selected by one player and placed inside the hidden zone are completely hidden from view, and they do whatever they want with them. So the way it works is you do a draft, and they take a card, you take a card, they take a card, you take a card, and so on. And the packs are organized as well. So the packs are one character of every single faction, including you know, neutral. And then there's another row of random characters from the entire character pool. So for example, in this pack, as well as getting the one from the standard, we've also got another 3 nerd cards in the, or Mr. Metonic cards. Okay, so this is a good pack for, you know, nerds. We also, down here in this row, you have random from the entire card pool events and support cards. So we've got some nice events. We've also got some, you know, okay events, but we've also got support cards coming out as well. And finally, this is a hermetic seal. It's a pretty good one. And finally, for the very last card is always an ancient one, but I've also added to that deck, the ancient one sort of bag that these are coming from, I've also added what I consider high cost, powerful human characters that are kind of like the human versions of ancient ones. Okay, so he takes a card, I take a card, he takes a card, I take a card, and so on and so forth. And then you do the next thing, and then the opponent gets to choose first, depending on which way it's facing. And then when you're finished, you can just build your deck from the card pool. So this pack here is a very strong Cthulhu deck. Look, we've got Cthulhu events, Cthulhu things, lots of nice Cthulhu stuff, and we have a great neutral ancient one. So that is how the draft packs will work, and that's basically just to make it a bit easier for people to get into the game. So you can make your deck up here, you can maybe keep a small deck down here of all your things if you want to run sideboards, and that is pretty much how the drafting system works. When you're finished, just come over here and go end, and it will move everything out of the way. If you are planning to use you know, sideboards, then just you know, between matches, just start the draft again, and that'll pop up the hidden zones, and then you can just end it when you're finished. Now there is one more thing over this side of the table, and I've set it up with a demo, and I'll show you how to get these. This is the deck builder that I built into this mod. Basically, the deck builder that I use, and everyone I know that uses this game still uses, is a free piece of software called Zorbek's Deck Builder. It's a fantastic deck builder. He makes one for Lord of the Rings as well. And it outputs a text file, and I'll show you how to do this in a sec. Well, I'll show you now. Right, so I had an error while I was recording the deck builder stuff outside of Tabletop Simulator, so I just got to redo it now. So this is what Zorbek's deck builder looks like. I'm not going to go through how to use this. It's an incredibly good piece of software if you're looking for a deck builder. But all you need to do is just, you know, select what cards you want. You just click them, add them to your deck, you know, so they get added to your deck here. Anyway, so once you add them to your deck, all you need to do is hit the export button, and then have clipboard selected and Lackey CCG selected. This same output will also be loaded up in my Call of Cthulhu plugin for Lackey. And then you just hit OK, and now I'll switch back to the other recording. After you've copied the text, just come down here into the toolbar and click the text tool. Click on this big area here and press Ctrl V to paste in the deck. Then just click on the hand icon and hit fetch, and that'll build the deck you've just created, and then you can just go and play, you know, play with it. Now these are all scanned from my original collection, or my collection, so I've scanned them all, nicely done, but I've also edited all the cards. Every single card has been edited to have the actual current errata, the final errata that they did with the final FAQ. So everything's got the correct card text as per the FAQ and the card errata, and in addition, the cards that are restricted have little marks on them. Let me just load up a restricted card. Okay, so I've just made a little deck of a few restricted cards, paste that in. So these are restricted cards, and you can see it's very faint because I didn't want to ruin the card art, but underneath the icon in the top right, there's a little X, and that is just, it's a bit more visible on that one. That is on all the restricted cards, just so as you're playing you know if they're restricted or not. So that is basically it. That is the mod. That is Call of Cthulhu. As you win stories, place them down here. 3 stories and you win the game, and that is in my opinion the best card game that has been made, followed closely by Doomtown and Netrunner, and then Legend of the Five Rings. Oh, there's actually so many games I could go on forever, but I really like this game, and I will see you guys next time, and keep your eye out. Now that I've finished this mod, I'm going to try and get out there, see that it hasn't got any bugs in it from people playing it, and then I will be launching the Call of Cthulhu Online League that'll be across Lackey, Octagon, and Tabletop Simulator. And you can learn with the best and fight the rest. I'll see you guys next time.